our book club, our community, just like and subscribe, and you will see when we are coming up for the daily live streams. And then you could always go to my lives. Excuse me, I repost them. And we just read the first chapter of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and I'm going to read chapter number 2, Desire, the starting point of all achievement, the first step to riches. There we go. When Edwin C. Barnes climbed down from the freight train in Orange, New Jersey. Let's start all over. Chapter 2, Desire, the starting point of all achievement, the first step to riches. When Edwin C. Barnes climbed down from the freight train in Orange, New Jersey, he may have resembled a tramp, but his thoughts were those of a king. As he made his way to Thomas A. Edison's office, his mind was at work. He saw himself standing in Edison's presence. He heard himself asking Mr. Edison for an opportunity to carry out the one consuming obsession of his life, a burning desire to become the business associate of the great inventor. Barnes's desire was not a hope, was not a wish. It was not a keen, pulsating desire which transcended everything else. It was definite. The desire was not new when he approached Edison. It had been Barnes's dominating desire for a long time. In the beginning, when the desire first appeared in his mind, it may have been, probably was, only a wish, but it was no mere wish when he appeared before Edison with it. A few years later, Edwin C. Barnes again stood before Edison in the same office where he first met the inventor. This time his desire had been translated into reality. He was in business with Edison. The dominating dream of his life had become a reality. Today, people who know Barnes envy him because of the break life yielded him. They see him in the days of his triumph without taking the trouble to investigate. Hey, what's up, Ayana? He was in business with Edison. The dominating dream of his life had become a reality. Today, people who knew Barnes envy him because of the break life yielded him. Hey, what's up, y'all? They see him in the days of his triumph without taking the trouble to investigate the cause of his success. Hey, just a reminder, we're reading Think and Grow Rich. We're on chapter number 2. And if you have any questions, just comment here. And I also just wanted to set the intention that you receive from this book, from the actual words that are being said, but also the frequency at which, the author had written it, for your ideas to evolve and for you to truly grasp what you need to from this book. I have no idea what you're saying, Aid, by the way. All right. They see him in the days of his triumph without taking the trouble to investigate the cause of his success. Barnes succeeded because he chose a definite goal and placed all his energy, all his willpower, and all his effort into achieving that goal. He did not become the partner of Edison the day he arrived. He was content to start in the most menial work as long as it provided an opportunity to take even one step toward his cherished goal. "5 years passed before the chance he had been seeking made its appearance. During all those years, not one ray of hope, not one promise of attainment of his desire had been held out to him, to everyone except himself. He appeared only another cog in the Edison business wheel, but in his own mind he was a partner of Edison every minute of the time, from the very day he first went to work there. It is a remarkable illustration of the power of a definite desire. Barnes won his goal because he wanted to do He wanted to be a business associate of Mr. Edison's more than he wanted anything else. He created a plan by which to attain that purpose, but he burned all bridges behind him. He stood by his desire until it became the dominating obsession of his life and finally a fact. When he went to Orange, he did not say to himself, I will try to induce Edison to give me a job of some sort. He said, I will see Edison and put him on notice that I have come to go into business with him. He did not say, I will work there for a few months, and if I get no encouragement, I will quit and get a job somewhere else. He did say, I will start anywhere, I will do anything Edison tells me to do, but before I am through, I will be his associate. He did not say, I will keep my eyes open for another opportunity in case I fail to get what I want in the Edison organization. He said, there is but one. What's up, King Joker? There is but one thing in this world I am determined to have, and that is a business association with Thomas A. Edison. I will burn all bridges behind me and stake my entire future on my ability to get what I want. He left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win or perish. That is all there is to the Barnes story of success. A long while ago, a great warrior had to make a decision which ensured his success on the battlefield. He was about to send his armies against a powerful foe, whose men outnumbered his own. He loaded his soldiers into boats, sailed to the enemy's country, unloaded soldiers and equipment, then gave the order to burn the ships that had carried them. Addressing his men before the first battle, he said, You see the boats going up in smoke? The men that we cannot That means that we cannot leave these shores alive unless we win. We now have no choice. We win or we perish. They won. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all sources of retreat. Only by so doing can one be sure of maintaining that state of mind known as a burning desire to win, essential to success. The morning after the Great Chicago Fire, a group of merchants stood on State Street looking at the smoking remains of what had been their stores. They went into conference. They went into a conference to decide if they would try to rebuild or leave Chicago and start over in a more promising part of this country. They reached a decision, all except one, to leave Chicago. The merchant who decided to stay and rebuild pointed a finger at the remains of his store and said, Gentlemen, on that very spot, on that very spot, I will build the world's greatest store no matter how many times it may burn down. The store was built. It stands there today, a towering monument to the power of the state of mind known as a burning desire. The easy thing for Marshall Field to have done would have been exactly what his fellow merchants did. When the going was hard and the future looked dismal, they pulled up and went where the going seemed easier. Mark, mark well this difference between Marshall Field and the other merchants, because it is the same difference that distinguishes Edwin C. Barnes from thousands of other young men who have worked in the Edison organization. It is the same difference that distinguishes practically all who succeed from those who fail. Every human being who understands the purpose of money wishes for it. Wishing will not bring riches, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches, and backing those plans with persistence, which does not recognize failure, will bring riches. The method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of six definite practical steps. Number one, fix your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient merely to say, I want plenty of money. Be definite as to the amount. There is a psychological reason for definiteness, which will be described in a subsequent chapter. Determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing. Establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and bring at once whether you are ready or not to put this plan into action. Write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State that what you intend to give in return for the money and describe clearly. Um, State what you intend to give in return for the money and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. Read your written statement aloud twice daily, once just before retiring at night, and once after riding in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. It is important that you follow the instructions described in these 6 steps. It is especially important that you observe and follow the instruction in the 6th paragraph. You may complain that it is impossible for you to see yourself in possession of money before you actually have it. Here is where burning desire will come to your aid. If you truly desire money, so keenly that you desire that your desire is an obsession, you will have no difficulty in convincing yourself that you will acquire it. The object is to want money. Pardon me. The object is to want money and to become so determined to have it that you convince yourself you will have it. Only those who become money conscious ever accumulate riches. Money consciousness means that the mind has become so thoroughly saturated with the desire for money that one can see oneself already in possession of it. To those who have had been schooled the in rowing, right? Either kayaking, just swimming. The object is to want money and to become so determined to have it that you convince yourself you will have it. Only those who become money conscious ever accumulate their riches. I teach something called SMMB, and it gets you to this meditative state where it is mantric meditative, just fully in it, and you basically are eliminating different phrases and you cloud your mind, you clear it up with more positive phrases that you appreciate. We do it every day. It's called Breathworks. You can join us. It's a live stream on YouTube as well. To those who have not been schooled in the working principles of the human mind, these instructions may appear impractical. It may be helpful to all who fail to recognize the soundness of the 6 steps to know that the information they convey was received from Andrew Carnegie, who began as an ordinary laborer in the steel mills. Despite his humble beginning, Carnegie managed to make these principles yield him a fortune of considerably more than $100 million. It may be further it may be of further help to know that the 6 steps recommended here were carefully scrutinized by Thomas A. Edison. He placed his stamp of approval upon them as being not only the steps essential for the accumulation. Hey, thanks so much. It may be of further help to know that the 6 steps recommended here were carefully scrutinized by Thomas A. Edison. He placed his stamp of approval upon them as being not only the steps essential for the accumulation of money, but also for the attainment of any definite goal. Isn't that funny? Like, literally, Thomas A. Edison was like This is a great philosophy, and he enacted it, and he got, what he got, which is great. What's up, young bands? Who are the four fathers, young bands? He placed his stamp of approval upon them as being not only the steps essential for the accumulation of money, but also for the attainment of any definite goal. The steps call for no hard labor, they call for no sacrifice. They do not require one to become ridiculous or credulous. To apply them calls for no great amount of education, but the successful application of these six steps does call for sufficient imagination to enable one to see and to understand that accumulation of money cannot be left to chance, good fortune, and luck. One must realize that all who have accumulated great fortunes first did a certain amount of dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning before they acquired money. You may also, you may as well know also that every great leader from the dawn of civilization down to the present was a dreamer. If you do not see great riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank balance. Never has there been so great an opportunity for practical dreamers as now exists. We who are in this race for riches should be encouraged to know that this dynamic world in which we live is demanding new ideas, new ways of doing things, new leaders, new inventions, new methods of teaching, new methods of marketing, new books, new literature, new applications for computers, previous cures for diseases, and new approaches to every aspect of buses, pardon me, of business books and others, to be fair. If you do not see great riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank balance. Never has there been so great an opportunity for practical dreamers as now exists. He who are in this race for riches should be encouraged to know that this dynamic world in which we live in is demanding new ideas, new ways of doing things, new leaders, new inventions, new methods of teaching, new methods of marketing, new books, new literature, new applications for computers, new cures for diseases, and new approaches to every aspect of business and life. Behind this demand for you and better things, behind this demand for new and better things, there is one quality one must possess to win, and that is the definiteness of purpose. The knowledge of what one wants and a burning desire to possess it. To accomplish this requires practical dreamers who can and will just later sometimes, but appreciate it. Nothing more. To accomplish this requires practical dreamers who can and will put their dreams into action. The practical dreamers have always been and always will be the pattern makers of civilization. We who desire to accumulate riches should remember that the real leaders of the world have always been people who harnessed and put into practical use the intangible, unseen forces of always seen forces of unborn opportunity. They have converted those forces or impulse thoughts into skyscrapers, or and then there's the factories. They have converted those forces or impulses of thought into skyscrapers, cities, factories, airplanes, cars, better healthcare, and every form of convenience that makes life more pleasant. Tolerance and an open mind are practical necessities for the dreamer today. Those who are afraid of new ideas are doomed before they start. Never has there been a time more favorable to pioneers than the present. There is a vast business, financial and industrial world to be remodeled, remolded, and directed along new and better lines. In planning to acquire your share of the riches, let no one's influence in planning to acquire your share of the riches. Let no one influence you to scorn the dreamer. To win the big stakes in this ever changing world, you must catch the spirit of the great pioneers of the past, who dreams have given to civilization all that it has of value. The spirit which serves as the lifeblood of our society, your opportunity and mine to develop and market our talents. Let us not forget. Columbus dreamed of an unknown world, staked his life on the existence of such a world, and discovered it. Copernicus, the great astronomer, dreamed of a multiplicity of worlds and revealed them. No one denounced him as impractical after he had triumphed. Instead, the world worshipped at his shrine. Thus, astronomer dreamed of a multiplicity of woods and revealed them. No one denounced him as impractical after he had triumphed. Instead, the world worshipped at his shrine, thus proving once more that the success requires no apologies, failure permits no alibis. If the thing you wish to do is right and you believe in it, if the thing you wish to do is right and you believe in it, go ahead and do it. Put your dream across the never mind, and never mind what they say if you meet with temporary defeat. For they perhaps do not know that every failure begins with it the seed of an equivalent success. Henry Ford, poor and uneducated, dreamed of a horseless carriage. He went to work with what tools he possessed without Henry Ford, poor and uneducated, dreamed of a horseless carriage. He went to work with what tools he possessed without waiting for opportunity to favor him, and now evidence of his dream belts the entire earth. He put more wheels into operation than any man who ever lived because he was not afraid to back his dreams. Thomas A. Edison dreamed of a lamp that could be operated by electricity. Despite, are you trying to get somewhere, right? No one denounced him. There we go. No one denounced him as impractical after he had triumphed. Instead, the world's worshipped at his shrine, thus proving once more that success requires no apologies, failure permits no alibis. If the thing you wish to do is right and you believe in it, go ahead and do it. Put your dream across and never mind what they say if you meet with temporary defeat, for they perhaps do not know that everything is if the thing you wish to do is right and you believe in it, go ahead and do it. Put your dream across and never mind what they say if you meet with temporary defeat, for they perhaps do not know that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. Thomas A. Edison dreamed of a lamp that could be operated by electricity. Despite more than 10,000 failures, he stood by that dream until he had made it a physical reality. Practical dreamers do not quit. Lincoln dreamed of freedom for the black slaves, put his dream into action, and barely missed living to see a united North and South translate his dream into reality. The Wright brothers dreamed of a machine that would fly through the air. No one may see evidence all over. Now one may see evidence all over the world that they dreamed soundly. Marconi dreamed of a system for harnessing the intangible forces of the ether, evidence that he did not dream in vain may be found in every radio, TV, and cell phone in the world. Moreover, Marconi's dream brought the humblest cable had the humblest cabin. I appreciate the likes, by the way. Thank you so much. Moreover, Marconi's dream brought the humblest cabin and the most stately manor house side by side. It made the people of every nation on earth next door neighbors for creating a medium where news, information, and entertainment could instantly be disseminated throughout the world. It may interest you to know that Marconi's friends had him taken into custody and examined in a psychiatric hospital. When he announced he had discovered a principle by which he could send messages through the air without the air of wires or other direct physical means of communication. The dreamers of today fare better. The world has become accustomed to new discoveries. Indeed, it has shown a willingness to reward the dreamer who gives the world a new idea. This one's about Ray Kroc. It's in the edit. Ray Kroc is another good example of someone who made his dream come true. Kroc was a salesman of milkshake mixers. Most of his customers, restaurants, and diners purchased 1 or 2 units. It may interest you to know that Marconi's friends had him taken into custody and examined in a psychiatric hospital. Ah, yes, of course. Ray Kroc is another good example of someone who made his dream come true. Kroc was a salesman of milkshake mixers. Most of his customers, restaurants, and diners purchased 1 or 2 units. When he received an order for 8 mixers for a small food outlet in San Bernardino, California, he decided to visit them and see how they could sell so many shakes. It was the busiest restaurant he had ever seen. The owners, the McDonald's brothers, It was the busiest restaurant he had ever seen. The owners, the McDonald brothers, offered a very limited menu: hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, shakes, and soft drinks, all at the lowest prices in the area. Kroc saw an opportunity. If he could open a chain of these restaurants, uh, uh, if he could open a chain of these restaurants, each as productive and profitable as this, money would flow in. He proposed the idea of the McDonald brothers and agreed to supplement. He proposed the idea of the McDonald brothers and agreed to implement it. Within a few years, McDonald's not only became the top selling food outlet in the country, but also created the fast food industry. Ray Kroc later bought out the McDonald brothers and expanded the business into an international phenomenon, making him one of the richest men of his time. The world is filled with an abundance of opportunity, with the dreamers of the past never known, which the dreamers of the past never known. A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. Dreams are not born of indifference, laziness, or lack of ambition. The world no longer scoffs at dreamers or calls them impractical. Remember, too, that all who succeed in life get off to a bad start and pass through many heartbreaking struggles before they arrive. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually comes at the moment of some crisis through which they are introduced to their other selves. John Bunyan, who wrote the philosophers, pardon me, John Bunyan, who wrote the Pilgrim's Progress, after he had been confined in prison and surely punished because of his religious views. O. Henry discovered the genius that slept within his brain after he had met with great misfortune and was confined in a prison cell in Columbus, Ohio, being forced through misfortune to become acquainted with this other self and to use his imagination. He discovered himself to be a great author instead of a miserable criminal and outcast. Strange and varied are the ways of life, and strange will still. Mhm. Edison, the world's greatest inventor and scientist, was a part telegraph operator. He failed innumerable times before he was driven finally to the discovery of the genius that slept within his brain. Charles Dickens began by pasting labels on blacking pots. The tragedy of his first love penetrated the depths of his soul and converted him into one of the world's truly great authors. Disappointment. Disappointment over love affairs generally has the effect of driving people to drink and ruin. This is because most people never learn the art of transmuting their strongest emotions into dreams of a constructive nature. Helen Keller became deaf, dumb, and blind shortly after birth. Despite her great misfortune, her name is written incredibly in the page of the story of the great. Her entire life served as evidence that no one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. Robert Burns was an illiterate country lad. He was cursed by poverty and grew up to be a drunkard. Robert Burns. Jump. Taką historię powiem po. Booker T. Washington was born into slavery, handicapped by race and color because he was tolerant, had an open mind at all times on all subjects, and was a dreamer. He left his impress for good on an entire race. Beethoven was deaf, Milton was blind, but their names will last as long as time endures. Became they dreamed and translated into organisms, or they Booker T. Washington was born into slavery, handicapped by race and color. Because he was tolerant, he had an open mind at all times on all subjects, and was a dreamer. He left his impress for good on an empire race. Pardon me, for good on an entire race. Beethoven was deaf, Milton was blind, but their names will last as long as time endures, because they dreamed and translated their dreams into organized thought. Arnold Schwarzenegger, here's another edited snippet in. Arnold Schwarzenegger is another person who converted his desire into action and achievement. He first came into the public eye as Mr. Universe, glorified weightlifter, but Schwarzenegger was not a typical muscle man. He was a man with dreams and goals. He achieved them by becoming a wealthy businessman, one of the highest paid movie stars, and eventually governor of California. Born and raised in Austria as a child, he began uh, But Schwarzenegger was not a typical muscle man. He was a man with dreams and goals. He achieved them by becoming a wealthy businessman, one of the highest paid movie stars, and eventually governor of California. Born and raised in Austria as a child, he began training as a weightlifter. At 18, he won his first bodybuilding contest and his first of 5 consecutive. Born and raised in Austria as a child, he began training as a weightlifter. At 18, he won his first bodybuilding contest and the first of 5 consecutive Mr. Universe titles. He emigrated to the United States and continued winning similar contests. He eventually accomplished more than any other person in the art of bodybuilding, and it was no longer a challenge. So he saw other areas where he could use his talents. His training in physical development taught him that there was a need for knowledge about physical fitness. He had that knowledge and wanted to share it. He wrote an autobiography, Arnold, The Education of a Bodybuilder, which became a bestseller. He followed it with a book on bodybuilding for women, showing female readers how to use weight training to get in shape. This led to the creation of a mail order exercise business and a company to produce bodybuilding events. These businesses started after he turned down minor roles. His persistence paid off when he was cast as the lead in Conan the Barbarian. This led to a series of action films that made him one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. Success in the movies did not make Schwarzenegger complacent. He set new goals for himself, this time in the world of business. He invested in real estate, created a restaurant chain, and became actively involved in other enterprises, and became a multimillionaire. As his success mounted, however, he added what became his dream goal to serve the community. He traveled around the country to promote health and fitness for youth. He went into the inner cities and inspired the kids to eschew violence and crime, to say no to drugs, guns, and gangs, and yes to education. He has taken an active leadership role in several organizations dedicated to physical fitness and health. In 2003, Schwarzenegger threw his hat into the ring and was overwhelmingly elected as the new governor of California. You can learn much from this man. In setting goals, you are not limited to any one area. Schwarzenegger could have limited his future to bodybuilding and become quite successful, but he dreamed of much more, set higher goals, and ultimately play a little bit more on the forts, right? If that's what you guys have. No, probably not. Like Schwarzenegger, do not be discouraged by criticism. Critics belittle his acting ability in his first few films, but he was not dissuaded and pursued his goal to become one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. Before passing to the next chapter, before passing to the next chapter, kindle anew in your mind the first of hope, faith, courage, and tolerance. If you have these states of mind and a working knowledge of the principles described, all else that you need will come to you when you are ready for it. Let Emerson state the thought in these words: every proverb, every book, every byword that belongs to three for aid and comfort shall surely come home through open or winding passages. Every friend whom not thy fantastic will, but the great and tender soul in thee craveth, shall lock thee in his embrace. That's a complex poem. There is a difference between wishing or story. There's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. hmm The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open mindedness is essential for belief. Closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, or belief. Remember, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. A great poet has correctly stated the universal truth through these lines: I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at the evening when I counted my scanty store. For life insurance, yeah, I guess so. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer. He gives you what you ask, but once you have set the wages, why you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn, dismayed, that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. Here's another one from today, from this age. Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, attributed her success to the development of self confidence and faith in herself and in all people in her vast organization, which now consists of more than 250,000 independent beauty consultants worldwide. Her sales career began 25 years earlier when she joined Stanley Home Products. She often commented that she was not at all successful during the first years and was ready to give up. This changed when she attended her first Stanley. This changed when she attended her first Stanley sales seminar. She reported, there I saw this tall, svelte, pretty, successful woman crowned queen as a reward for being the best in a company contest. I determined to be that queen for the following year, which seemed impossible. However, I decided to go up and talk to the president and tell him that I intend to be queen next year. Mr. Mr. Beveridge didn't laugh at me, but looked me in the eye, held my hand, and said, somehow I think you will. Those 5 words drove me, and the next year I was queen. Mary Kay preached and practiced that the first step in achieving success is to firmly believe that you are an excellent person who deserves success. In an article in Personal Excellence, she suggested some exercise to help create your image of excellence and begin to establish an atmosphere of success in your life. Here are some of her suggestions.